Hi there, and welcome to the Homestead Education Podcast. Do you have a homestead, farm, or just dream of a rural life? This is a show to help you and your kids grow your own food and grow as a person. I'm your host, Kody Hanner. I'm a homesteader, homeschool mom of six, and small town enthusiast. I was raised by an old school rancher and blessed by the grace of God to have been exposed to so much of what rural life has to offer. Join me every week to talk about homesteading, homeschooling, and growth with a homestead education. Hi, and welcome back to the Homestead Education Podcast. I just want to remind you that you can get all of my homestead science books on my website for a new way of teaching agriculture to today's youth and aspiring homesteaders by focusing on small-scale farming and self-sufficiency. If you're a school or co-op and need invoicing, please feel free to reach out to me directly. So guys, I think we are due for a catch-up. Between recording all of my podcasts earlier in the spring for summer, so I could just kind of take some time off with my kids, and then just taking a couple weeks off from getting back going, I realized that we haven't just connected in a really long time. And, I think there's a lot of things that have been going on, and I feel like I've just been silent with y'all. And I'm back to, give you a little bit of what's been going on and where we're going. Um, First off, let's talk about the homestead because that's what we're all here for, right? Homesteading, learning how to homestead, farming, all those types of things. Um, I wish that things hadn't happened the way they did. Our vet was supposed to come last week, and I was gonna and preg check all our cows, and I was gonna be able to tell you our plan with our dairy cows for the year, but I don't know who's pregnant and who's not. So he's not coming till tomorrow now. But we're excited to get him here. We have a steer that actually, I have a steer and two heifers that I was planning on butchering all three of them this fall, and selling them as, whole halves, retail, whatever, and putting some in our freezer as well. And we butchered a steer over the summer, and I was selling eighth, eighth beef and quarter pigs together, and like doing like a rancher pack. I don't even remember what I charged for it. I think it was 700 or something. I did realize afterwards I probably should have upped that price just a tad, but it was our first time selling beef. So, but we sold out of those, and it wasn't just our price because our prices weren't so much below anyone else's that we were kind of in the middle, but based on the fact that ours are grass fed and those types of things, I probably could have gone up a little bit. So we were like, oh my gosh, we need to butcher all three of these head that we have this fall winter because that could really help us through the winter, which winter is always a little slim for us. And we were all excited, and we're seeing beef prices going up, and we're like, this is really going to be a good thing for us. And then I realized I think one of my heifers is bred. And I will admit the bull was out with her earlier in the year, but I thought she was still too young. Apparently I was wrong, but she'll be 2 years old in November. So she's not too young to breed, but the time I had the bull with her, I guess I just didn't, I don't know. Sometimes as homesteaders, like you're not running a whole production setup, so you're not tracking every little detail of everything. And I think basically he was just out with her too long, past the point when like I thought she was actually starting to run her heats. And I was at first really bummed because I was like, oh my gosh, she's out of one of our dairy cows. She's not one I really want to keep as a breeder. And I'd planned on butchering her, but if she's bred, like obviously that's not something I'm going to do. And then the reason I think she's bred is she's actually starting to bag up. And as a heifer, sometimes they will bag up a little earlier, or at least you'll notice it a little earlier because they start getting like loose and heavier and you can see the separate quarters. Whereas, like our cows, that's already all developed. And so I don't really notice it till maybe just a few days before they calve. But then I got to thinking about it and I was like, yeah, she is out of a dairy cow, but she's out of our Belfair, which is uh half Jersey and half Dexter. And then her dad is a Hereford. So Dexter's are dual purpose and her dad's a Hereford. So she's like a 3/4 beef cow and 1/4 dairy. That's actually not the worst combination. And lots of people eat Jersey beef. So, her calves would only be an eighth the Jersey. So, well, this calf would actually, it would be half brown Swiss. So, that is a beef calf or a half dairy, half beef calf. But that's okay. I can breed her to whoever I want in the future. But in looking at that, we have another heifer, and I'm not sure if she's bred or not, but she is Angus and Hereford, which is a really good combination for beef cattle. So we got to talking about it, and I was looking at local beef prices, and a cow calf pair is going for like $3,500. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that is an insane price. Now, if I break down, and that's at auction, like, I'm sure selling privately and stuff, you can probably even get them for more or sell them for more. And yes, selling a steer broke down into all the retail cuts. I can make, I think it was like $6,000 or $7,000. I have all my numbers written down somewhere, but it's an insane amount too right now. And that's just kind of at average prices, not even the really high prices I see a lot of people charging for like the grass-fed animals. So, yes, I could make more off of a steer or something right now, but long term, that's a calf every year from these girls that I was debating on keeping, which we already have a few cows, so we weren't really looking to increase our herd just because of space. But we do have options for some cheaper hay than some people pay, and a lot of like work trade for hay. So it is something we can do. And with the prices right now, we just didn't feel like butchering was the best idea. Now, we are going to still butcher the one steer. Um, Grass-fed, he's going to be right at 2 when we butcher him. Grass-fed sometimes will go to 30 months before they get butchered. But we did that with our last steer, and his live weight was about 1,300 pounds. But because he was over 24 months, it cost way more to have him butchered because they have to do the mad cow protocol, which is when there's a chance that after a certain age that can start to show and they have to pull out all the bones and there can't be any spinal cord or, spinal bones. So we can't have like ribeyes and things like that. So and it costs more, like it's like 80 cents more a pound or something. And so I did the math of what it would be to let this steer go to 30 months, how much it would cost to feed him, and how much extra it would cost to have him butchered at the over 24 month. And I would actually lose money waiting that long. Yes, I would have more beef to sell, but it only worked out to like 50 to 75 pounds more of finished product, which kind of seems like a lot, but when you work it out where you get 50 pounds more, but you're actually losing money, it's just not worth it when he's going to be more tender at this age and that stuff. So, we got him on the scale the other day and he's right at 1,000. So, and I'm not looking at butchering him for about almost 3 more months. So I think I'm looking at an 11 or 1,200 pound steer, which then he's almost the weight as the one we butchered this last summer. So, I am really happy with his growth and what we're going to do with him. And I have pigs going to the butcher next week. And we always have pigs going to the butcher about every other month. So I'll be able to continue to sell like that. And I'm really excited for these like, rancher packs that we've been selling. They just have been going like crazy. I actually had to cut off the sales so that we actually had beef in our own freezer because we hadn't had beef in a couple of years. And so that was really exciting for us. Now, pigs, it is the time of year where I put all the sows in with the boars because one of our biggest customers is 4-H pigs in the spring, like for show kids show pigs. Actually, people raising pigs to feed out, they actually like them a little later in the year, like March, April-ish, because then they're butchering right around now. But fair pigs are butchered, August. So I have to have them born in the calendar year, but as early in the year as possible. So we put the boars in at we don't have our boards together. I kind of the way I said that. We have two separate pastures for them. So we put the boars in September 15th, and that works out to the earliest date that, if they breed that day, we would get January 1st pigs. And that always just keeps us safe and in those proper numbers. Now, um, with that, some of my older sows or ones that maybe don't breed right away, then I still totally have a market for them with spring feeders. And then my older sows, because they bounce back really good, I can, they can farrow, I can wean it 30 days, get them back out with the boar, and they breed back, and I'm having like May, June piglets, which a lot of people love piglets that time of year too. So, really working on all of our kind of agrarian schedules right now and making sure we have everything we need. We're starting to lock the chickens up for the year because it's getting colder at night. We're getting ready to butcher some heritage meat birds that we've had most of the summer. They definitely don't grow as fast as the Cornishes, and they aren't as nasty. But at the same time, this growth rate, I'm not sure if it's really worth it for us, but we wanted to try it this year. The Cornishes are, it's a personal choice. Like for us, we definitely want the more heritage bird. We're gonna butcher if they taste good. We will probably keep doing the heritage birds ourselves. But we're starting to butcher for customers now. And from that standpoint, the amount of time we have to feed them, the amount of feed we need to put into them, the Cornishes make more sense. So that's probably what we'll be doing for next year. But I'll definitely let you know after we butcher what we think of them. I can't remember the breed of these birds. We got them from someone locally, and she told me, and I completely forgot. So, um, but we work with them a lot, and so I'll be able to just, give her a call and find out. Um, we have been trying to start shipping our pork for about a year now. It's really, for lack of better description, it's not that hard to do it. We have the website up. It's very similar to my book website. The shipping process would be the same. We're already running a shipping facility off the property with the books. So adding the meat should not be as hard as it's been. But the problem that we've faced with it is in order for it to be profitable for us, I had to buy all of the shipping supplies in bulk. And that was about a $3,000 bill to be able to get everything we need for, the specialty styrofoam containers and the ice packs. We aren't going to be using dry ice unless we're shipping to southern states in the summertime. Other than that, we have these ice blankets that work really well. For some people, we're using styrofoam. For some people, we're using insulated bags. Just depends on where they are located. But what, like I said, what the issue was is getting $3,000 worth of product here to be able to make it where when I start selling the meat, I actually have a profit margin so that I can continue to have a sustainable business with this. And we have all the product now. We got it delivered about a month ago. With that, though, we can only ship on Mondays or Tuesdays because of how rural we are, even with overnight. If I ship Tuesday, it could, in some scenarios, we don't really have overnight up here, so we do 2 day. Plus, overnight is like $150 for shipping, and most customers don't want to pay that. So we do it's actually a 2 day shipping, but it basically still works out to almost overnight. And FedEx ground usually is almost the same shipping time as like a 2 day with UPS. So I have some options there, but we still have to get it out on Tuesdays. Otherwise, it could maybe not be there till Friday morning. We cannot risk it going over through the weekend. And what's been happening is because of our traveling events and things like that, it just hasn't been possible to ship out some practice shipments to some family we have just to see how it goes. We were going to send like 3 packages out to different locations across the country, see what condition they show up in and what changes we need to make. So if you're thinking, well, Kody, we've been listening to you for a while and you travel every weekend in the spring, how are you going to continue to ship? Great question. I now have a full-time assistant and she will be doing the shipping. However, the reason she's not doing it right now is because we're still troubleshooting and we need to work out all the details. Now she will be here for that and helping me work out those details, but until we have it totally locked in, she's fine handling the shipping part. She does it with the books all the time, but there is a whole nother beast and food safety and all those things that come with the meat processing side that just isn't part of her background that I'll need to teach her. Um, with that though, I do kind of want to roll into what we're doing with the homestead education. And if any of you have been getting emails from me lately and stuff, they are actually, you probably noticed at the bottom, it's from my wonderful assistant, Miranda. She's been with me for just over a year now, but early this summer, I was able to convince her to come work for me full time, which has been a wonderful blessing for our family and the business and her family because she's able to homeschool now because I don't make her come into the office every day. And when she does come into the office, she can just bring her kids and they're similar age to my younger kids and they go play and have a wonderful time. With that, it's made it where I've been able to make some really big changes. I'm starting to crank out some products faster. But if any of you have ordered from me, you know that my shipping is not Amazon Prime fast. And it's been something that's bothered me since day one. I mean, um, the very first, so when we first started this business, we printed everything ourselves on an inkjet printer. I have a really good printer. I still use the same printer, and I can print just an obscene amount on it, and it hardly costs me anything. But inkjet just doesn't give the picture quality that we want, and at the time, I really couldn't afford to upgrade like the paper quality I was using and that type of thing, nor I hadn't really been in printing for very long, so I just didn't know what I was doing. Um, and so we started printing through um like a print company, a drop shipper. And that drop shipper has been frustrating. So when I can get books shipped to me and then I can just ship them from the house, it goes pretty well. But there's certain times of the year that unless I like going into summer, unless I have the cash funds to order about $50,000 worth of books at the beginning of summer, and that would take 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe a month for me to actually get them myself, and then ship them from home with the number of orders I have come in, like school orders and things like that. I mean, sometimes I'm turning around and shipping out, cases of books. And I just don't have the funds to get that kind of money or to get that kind of book quantity in. So I end up ordering about 2 weeks at a time. But every year we're getting more popular. We're selling more books and I'm ordering them in and I can't like I'll place the order and basically be sold out of them before they even ship the first round and I'm trying to order the next round, but maybe I'm waiting on an event and I don't have those books actually sold until I go to the event, so I don't have the cash funds to order the next round. And it's been just like kind of this like for lack of better word, like a constant nightmare. And probably the thing I have hated about my business the most. And so then our other option is drop shipping through them, where I place the order through them when a customer orders and it just goes directly to the customer. The downside to that is sometimes that takes longer than it takes for it to come to me and then to ship it out. Some of my kits, they come with an extra poster or I don't know, just various, the survival one has a kit optional kit you can buy. And so I can't ship that through my drop shipper. I still have to ship that from home. So then sometimes I'm charging double shipping, which I don't want to extend that to the customer, especially because sometimes I have the products at home to ship. I'm not doing it through my drop shipper. So it's just been this back and forth that we have struggled with for a few years now. And just kind of racking my brain this summer, trying to think of ways that I can eliminate this issue long term. And having someone full time now where the other thing that she's enabling me to do is create more products. I've come out with 3 or 4 new products just this summer when I've been trying to come out with a new quality product for like a year and a half. I've just been too busy trying to run the business. I mean, I'll sometimes say to my family, I'm running it all by myself. And they feel really frustrated because they do so much of the shipping and helping me at conferences and things like that, which I couldn't do the business without them. However, there's this level that I run the business that I'm still managing every piece of it. And yes, as a business owner, you are managing multiple pieces of your business, but I'm having to manage it at like the micromanagement level because it's like my kids. So it's like, hey, go do the shipping. And it's like, well, how do I log in? How do I work the print machine? And it's like, it's fine, but it's frustrating. And that takes a lot of my time. So having another adult working in the business who can kind of, I teach her how to do something and then she just does it. Like, I don't have to tell her to do it. She just knows. For example, every Monday we ship. She doesn't talk to me about it. Well, she'll be like, hey, I'm going to run shipping. Which card do you want me to use to buy labels? That type of stuff. But I don't have to go to her and be like, you need to run shipping today. It's Monday. I have customers waiting. I don't have to schedule my family's entire week around our shipping schedule because she's literally already scheduled to do it. She shows up, she does the shipping, she leaves. And I don't have to touch it. If I'm not here, I don't even have to touch it. Like I can do whatever I need to do with my kids and she just comes and does what she needs to do, which has been a wonderful change for our business. And I think we're going to continue to see a lot of positives from that. So with that, I was like, I have all these new products. I just can't rely on this print company anymore. Um, Not only is there those frustrations I was telling you about, they'll send the wrong product to customer and to get the correct product back to them sometimes takes 2 to 3 weeks. I have had multiple events this summer where my product didn't even show up to the event. And so I'm there at the event with one sample set and hoping people buy. And I did okay, but not what I would normally do for an event that size and the amount of money that I invested to get there. And so, from a business owner standpoint, this just wasn't working for me anymore. So, we decided to invest in a print shop. Yes, we are insane. But I think all homesteaders are a little like that, so you're probably with me. We didn't buy like a print shop or, invest in other people's equipment. I went ahead and did some research and looked at what, brand new with warranty entry level equipment would cost. We and I purchased all those things. I purchased enough supplies to get me through back to school season. Um, Earlier this summer, we'd actually bought a 12 by 28 shed to go on the property, one of those nice ones that looks like a little cabin. And that's where our whole print shop and everything is going to be running and our, shipping and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I haven't got all the electrical ran out there yet. So we are running this entire print shop out of my kids' homeschool room, which is, if you're watching this on YouTube, is like right outside this door behind me. And then it runs right into our living room, which now me having an assistant, she has a desk in my living room. So we're kind of being overtaken by the business and have a perfectly good office sitting in the front yard. So life has been a little insane, but we are now printing a large majority of our books in-house, which has been amazing. Um, I was able to do an entire launch of a new product, and for those of you who bought Econ, I'm apologizing right now because I couldn't get it in with my printer the way I wanted it, and it's got like flashcards and things like that that come with it, and my printer wouldn't accommodate that. So then I tried to find a new printer and couldn't find one that could provide that at the same price I was paying my other printer. So then we decided to print from home. That's part of why this all came up. So then I ordered all the equipment, and all the equipment takes, 2 weeks to show up, and it gets here, and we start printing, and immediately I broke it, like our big printer. And so we had to wait for the new part to come in, and it's just been like this constant battle where I felt like I was just banging my head against the wall. Um, Finally, this last week, I was able to find a good source for my toner to just show up like regularly. my paper to show up regularly, um, all the equipment to work really well, everybody to have the groove down of how the equipment works. And we got all caught up with printing Homestead economics and got them all out the door. And it feels wonderful. We are going to continue to bring all of our lines home. Some of our books are perfect bound right now, so we are currently only doing spiral bound. I think they look beautiful. If you're, watching this on YouTube or something, I'm holding up one of my books. I mean, they're still stunning. They're beautiful. I think the like interior is better quality than what I'm currently getting from my printer. However, to get set up to do perfect bound, which I don't know if I have a book here handy. It's like the ones with, a soft cover book with a regular spine, which is how I really like my home introduction to homestead science book to look. I'm fine with switching the workbook to a spiral because I think that actually makes more sense. But the textbook really needs to be, I feel like still needs to be the perfect bound. And that equipment runs really expensive. And the current printer I have just cannot accommodate the size I would need for the covers, although I might have some options with that well, no, that's an inkjet printer. I'm thinking out loud. So to upgrade that printer is, I mean, it's an extra $3,000 or $4,000, which isn't off the table, but it's not in the cards immediately. And then to get the equipment to do the perfect binding is actually quite expensive as well. And um, so I'm just still kind of trying to figure out how I want to handle that or if I want to switch everything to spiral bound. So some things are really easy to switch. Some things already came spiral bound, so I'm just doing that. Some things I'm launching them where they're only ever going to be spiral bound. Um, so yeah, I mean, if maybe like I think maybe I'm just brainstorming at this moment. And so if any of you know a better option for me, um, how to get this equipment like used or I have a hard time renting because we're so rural that, the companies won't rent to us because then if I need any maintenance done, they won't come to our property. Like the closest town that would have anything I could rent is about 2.5 to 3 hours away. So, if anybody knows of any ideas, I'm all for it. But the rest of the print shop seems to be running really well, and I'm excited to see what we're going to be able to do now that we have these options. Um, are you looking for new ways to advertise your business? I would like to invite you to advertise your business on the Homestead Education Podcast. Did you know that 60% of listeners will make a purchase after hearing an ad on a podcast? Why is this? Because personal connections and credibility from someone they truly trust will give you the best conversions. My podcast has been on the air for over 3 years now, and with an average of 5,000 downloads per episode and tons of long term listeners, you're bound to have somebody who will find that credibility in me. All ad spots will be promoted on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and my weekly newsletter. I have podcast sponsorship spots available that are affordable for all business sizes. And all advertising revenue will be used towards my educational outreach in the form of travel costs, curriculum development, supplies, and the administration of such activities. Go to my show notes now or visit thehomesteadeducation.com/podcast dash sponsorship. I hope to hear from you soon. Next is so, I talked a little bit about the Homestead Economics. This is a half credit course for high schoolers. The first half of it is all the principles in economics. The second half is all how to start a homestead business and going through all the steps of planning a business, budgeting for it, taxes, regulation, all those things that go into running businesses. So this is a really solid um, curriculum. Sorry. Um, the kids do a research project. I have a list of books one of them needs to be picked for required reading, and then they do a business plan, and I provide, Google Sheets for them to do that. and links to Canva templates. And I mean, there's just a lot of really cool things that this book offers. And like I said, it just turned out like just stunningly beautiful. This week I released Seasons on the Homestead. It's a educational activity book for 5 to 12 year olds. And, it's got like games and coloring pages, but it also has like miniature research projects that the kids, depending on how your homeschool runs or what you're doing, they can hop on like YouTube and find an answer. They can go to the library and find a book. You might have books on hand where they can find it. And a lot of the work can really be independent with the older kids and semi-independent with the younger. So it's a really fun and handy book to have on hand because each day's lesson is like 30 to 90 minutes if you want it to be that long of at least semi independent work that counts for science, history, math. It's kind of like a unit study, but not exactly because each day is kind of like independent of the others, but it does teach a lot of really great topics in it. So that is for sale right now. It's $20 for the digital, 30 for the printed. And because I'm printing at home, it can literally ship the next day. So be sure and get your hands on that. I'll link it in the show notes. There's also, you can get 12 lessons for free out of it if you just want to sign up for the mailing list. And every Monday, we'll send you a new lesson through the rest of fall. And then when winter starts, if you want to sign up for that one, you can get a free lesson there. So that's a really great way to like kind of get your kids' feet wet on homestead education. Wow, we've covered a lot already. So for our family, we have started back to our co-op this week, our homeschool co-op. I always love teaching there because I really like seeing those aha moments with kids. But this year we started a construction project in homestead science, and I was really surprised. This is an older group of kids, like 12-year-olds, that weren't comfortable with tools, rulers, measuring, basic angles. Um, And this isn't even on their parents. This is the curriculum that they're buying doesn't emphasize this stuff, and they don't always think to teach it themselves. Or they think, well, the kids are out here with me and we're working and I showed them where to saw and stuff. They know how to work a saw. But doing it as independent work in a classroom, I mean, and I'm there, I'm teaching them how to do it. My daughter's there helping. I have other helpers, but they are kind of just set up to do it independently. And I just realized that our kids aren't given enough opportunities to learn basic skills. And, I mean, this is a huge reason why I started the homestead education, why I do what I do, why I travel the country. And it just made me think of some things I wanted to talk to you guys about. So it's just some thoughts I've had over the summer, and it really just came to a head, I guess, for lack of better words, with starting co-op this fall. And some of you have been listening for a while, and you know that I struggled with some direction this year. Now, the business is moving forward, it's doing wonderful, but personally, um, and personally, how I run my business and that type of stuff. And so every year I pick a word that's my word of the year. It's kind of like my New Year's resolution. And, a couple years ago, I think it was intentional. And so I made sure that every choice I made was very intentional. It wasn't on a whim, it wasn't on feelings, that I knew what I was doing. And I was intentional about moving forward in everything I did. Last year was growth. So everything had to be about growth. And what's really beautiful about having a word of the year is that if you fall off the wagon, you can just turn around and get back on. And with growth, I mean, yeah, if I stop growing and then decide it's time to start growing again, that's literally the definition of that word. So it's been really great. Well, this year when I couldn't find any direction, I was like, I need one that's going to like kick me in the butt. And so I chose the word soaring. Um, but I'm going to tell you, there's been some times this year that I didn't feel like I was soaring as a person, as a homesteader, as a business owner, as a parent, like any of it. I just Honestly, there was times this year where I felt like I was failing at everything. And recently, something that I've really like chewed on all summer is what I really want to do is change how people view agriculture education. Will I change everybody's mind? No. But I think that we have seen over the last several years that skills need to be taught to our children, and they don't all just have to be about food and farming. Um, there's so many other skills that our children just aren't being taught anymore. I mean, we're really focusing for, several years. It was all just teach your kids to code. That's where, the future of jobs are going. And then now there's AI that I have no clue how to code, and I can go in there and be like, design this page for me, and it codes out a whole page. I don't need to hire somebody who can code anymore, which I still do. I have a really great website guy and I love him. And I don't know. I don't want to have to learn something completely new to be able to do it. But there's a lot of people that that's exactly what they've been looking for, and they no longer have to pay someone to do that. And suddenly there's this huge job market open, and it's just continuing to go this way. But when it comes down to it, that's less and less people that know how to grow our food. Because even the commercial farmers, they're learning more and more technology on how to just run the equipment, that the equipment knows how to do everything. But eventually, we're going to phase out the people that know how to grow our food, and our kids in general just aren't going to have skills because we've been focusing so much on them learning technology. Not that technology is bad. I feel like for my age group and for the business that I'm running and that type of stuff, I'm pretty high up there on the technology end. Like I know what I'm doing, I know what equipment I want, I know what equipment I need, I know how to run the software programs. I train everybody who's on my team for the most part. I said I have a great website guy. I ran my own website for 7 years and it was fine. But I just got to a point where I wanted some big changes and I didn't want to have to learn to do that myself. There's technically nothing that he's done that I don't know how to do or couldn't figure it out on my own. I am paying for his time to do that for me. But I also learned farming up to this point. So I can grow food and I can set up all my website stuff. Um, and I think we just need more people that are well-rounded. And I think we kind of lost sight of that as a society. And I realized that I don't know who's growing tomorrow's food. And I don't think a lot of people do. And I have an opportunity to change that basically by encouraging families and schools to bring back both home economics and agriculture as one in the homestead education realm. Um, and I say realm that way because I mean, of course, I want it to be my business, but I actually can see a future that includes more than just these like certain curriculums that I have, like that can be built on and grown and a whole movement can be started. And honestly, right at this moment, I still don't know exactly how I'm going to facilitate that movement. I've been to DC this year. I've talked to a lot of really important people, influential people. I will admit I'm a little nervous about completely sticking my neck out there into the ag world because I don't know how ready everyone is for it. Um, I am working on getting on some podcasts and things like that to start having the conversation beyond the homestead homeschool world. And most of the people I've talked to completely agree with what I want to see for our children and for, future generations. But there's a really fine line in making sure that I am not stepping on the toes of conventional agriculture because they, I mean, even just the fact that they are running on such slim margins without even realizing it, their red flags go up when they think that something's being taken away from them. And I completely understand that. I'm more saying, like, hey, wouldn't you be able to love to have your job in commercial agriculture and then come home and have a family that knows skills and food and all that stuff? And a lot of farmers do, but just the emphasis on it isn't there. And so, like kind of what I'm saying is I don't want to eliminate conventional agriculture. I don't think that's an option. Even if I wanted to, there's just too many people in our world, and to continue feeding them, I don't think by people having backyard gardens is going to completely take that away, but it can alleviate it. So, in that, I'm just trying to integrate more small scale farming. Um, because what kids are learning in school, I get a lot of backlash online. People go, well, we don't need your curriculum because, our kids can learn all that at the local 4-H or through FFA. And I'm, I was in 4-H. My kids are in 4-H. Like, I don't have that's just not accurate. Um, there's a whole nother thing that's happening. And honestly, FFA is a club that you can be in if you're taking agriculture classes in high school. So a student taking one agriculture class can be an FFA where they learn to compete in something that may be an animal, that may just be, they can be flower arrangement. So no, I don't think that is a full agriculture education. Would love to see high school agriculture to be more focused around everybody having the ability to farm in some way, but that you can also take vocational agriculture classes to learn how to take that further. Like, we work up to that in your senior year or something. Um, because students who take agriculture classes only have a 3 to 13% chance of going on to work in any form of agriculture. So some of them are growing food, some of them are working in banks, doing ag credit. I mean, so they're not growing the food. They're helping, but that 13%, it's probably closer to 3 of who is actually growing and producing the food. So, like 3% of high school agriculture students are going on to any form of agriculture. Yet every single one of them will eat every day. And that is the change that I want to make. So, whether that's more people working in agriculture or more people that eat, taking ownership in that, that is that window I want to be in. So, I hope you guys are standing behind me as cheerleaders as I stick my neck out um, in the agricultural world and say what I think needs to be said and work on getting um, my prior colleagues behind me and professors and things like that, understanding what it is I'm trying to do. And I'll let you know how it goes. Because currently I don't know how it's going to go, but I am excited, and I'm excited that you're here with me for that. Until next time, keep growing. Thank you for joining me today at the Homestead Education, and I hope that I have given you something to think about this week. To help others find me, please comment and leave a review on your favorite podcast player. You can also follow me on Facebook at the Homestead Education and Instagram at Homestead_education. Do you have questions that you would like answered or just want to say hi? Please email me at hello@thehomesteadeducation.com. Until next time, keep growing!